Hello billions of bald apes. So this tent here, I thought I'd do a little video about it because I'm about to chuck it in the bin because it's reached the end of its life. I've used this tent for hundreds and hundreds of nights, possibly maybe over a year if you were to add all the time up of all the nights I've spent in this tent on various expeditions and adventures. And I would go as far as to say, for one person or two little people, it's a two-man tent, this is the best pound for pound backpacking or bikepacking tent. I say pound for pound because obviously people go ultralight, and this isn't ultralight, it's, I think it's 2.8, maybe 3 kilograms, around there. I should have weighed it really. So it's not ultralight, but it's not mega heavy either. Heavier you go, the stronger you go, the lighter you go, the weaker you go. So there's pros and cons. So that's why pound for pound, I think this is the best tent. I've been in storms in it and everything. So you don't want to watch me put a tent up. So we'll get it whacked up and then we'll talk about it. The Vango Mirage. Well, that's what mine's called anyway. It has also been called the Vango Hydra, and it's currently being sold as the Vango Hydra. They change their names, don't they, every year? They change the colour slightly, only slightly. It's always a green. I think I've seen it in red actually, or that could be the OEX version. The Vango Hydra, the most recent, is a lighter green than that. Anyway, so now I'm going to tell you for why I think this is the best tent ever for one person. Other than the fact I've used it for hundreds and hundreds of days, and it has never let me down. I could just literally say that and go, that's why it's the best one ever. But there's reasons why I think it has been so good, and I'll just show you them and explain them. I'm going to move you to do this, but first of all, so one of the reasons I think is it's semi-geodesic. In fact, no, I'll move you first to show you that. So in this, I don't know if you'd call it review, end of life review, or whatever you want to call it, I'm not just going to talk about why it's so good, I'm also going to point out where it failed. So reason one, though, of why I think it's so good is it's what's called a semi-geodesic tent. You've got geodesic, semi-geodesic and non-geodesic. A geodesic tent, a fully geodesic, doesn't require any pegs in the ground for it to hold its shape properly. A non-geodesic requires pegs for it to just even stay up, and semi, which is this one, requires some pegs. So the actual main body here requires no pegs. The reason it's classed as semi-geodesic is the vestibule at the front requires a peg. It actually this tent requires one peg to be usable, the front one. Still, that makes it semi-geodesic. So, one of the telltale signs of a geodesic tent is crossovers in the poles, like here and here. And we all know triangles are strong, and it's got triangles everywhere. And I think that's one of the reasons why this tent, I've been on top of mountains, I've camped above 3,000 meters in this. I've camped endless days on the beach, on beaches in different countries, France, Turkey, which is why actually when I was putting the tent up the poles were a nightmare to slot in. They've gone all crusty on the joints from the sea and the sand. They still did it though, didn't they? So I think that's one of the reasons why this tent's been so strong. It's all because the poles cross over in so many different places, and you've got your little ties, so you can tie them, and it just makes the tent just so strong. But like I said, it's not going to be all about how awesome this tent is. I'm going to show you where it failed. This is an outer first tent, which is good for us Brits, because it means you can leave the inner connected and then you can put the tent up in the rain and the inside doesn't get wet. But the places where this tent started to fail me, so the poles get fed through these sleeves. The poles over and over and over again, like I said, hundreds of times have been slipped in, out of here, and they've started wearing away at this. And I don't know if you can see there, but that's duct tape that I've had to put on because it wore through there. It's got duct tape there. To be honest, if I was to continue using this tent, I'd probably end up having to more or less duct tape everywhere. But the poles it's reached the end of its life. The poles are starting to get a bit brittle now. It's not very waterproof. I've fab sealed the hell out of it multiple times and it doesn't seem to be keeping its waterproofness, not properly anyway. I'll tell you what though, in its day, I think it's the sun that's killed this tent. It spent so many days in hot countries up in the sun, so the UVs destroyed it. But in its day, this was a waterproof tent. I remember I was camping near Pamplona in Spain and there was floods. On the campsite I was on, caravans floated away, fully submerged, floated away. I mean proper floods. Luckily I was camped up on a hill, but it rained so much that, you know, when the ground's just saturated and you're stamping around and there's like an inch of water. I was in that, and I can say that the insides of this tent, not only from the rain above, but the water from underneath stayed dry inside. So in its day it was very waterproof. So the geodesicness of it, I think, has made it very good. That's why it's been so strong. And then I'm going to move you back around there and we'll talk about the other reasons why I think this tent is so great. Is if you're on rock in the mountains, which I have been loads of times, you can still use the tent. You know, if you're somewhere rock hard, you can't peg in, you can still use it. The only trouble with this tent is you can't use the porch area because it needs one peg. But I've used rocks. You just got to find one big rock and then your porch is up. It's great. Can you tell I love this tent? So, reason 2 is it's got just the right amount of porch, and it can open on both sides. So we've got this side open now. If you want, you can have that side closed, that side open. So depending on the direction of the wind or the rain, you know, choose which side you want open. And then it gives you a nice little area to cook. So you're not cooking in your tent, which is dangerous, but you can cook from within your tent. So, you know, just there, you've got stove, all the steam and heat and everything else. Up it goes. You've got just enough room there for your bag, especially when this is closed. You've got tons of room for your bag. So great porch area. Don't you just love the smell of tents? You've got some little pockets inside, both sides, you know, for your socks and your torch and your phone. Talking of torches, here, not that you can see, is a little loop for your torch to hook onto. So when you get up for the toilet in the night, your torch is just hanging there, just a little click, off you go. So great vestibule area, little pockets, and then the other one is I'm 6 foot 2, that thing. And even just lying straight, not even diagonal, there's tons and tons of room. Not that you can see, but my feet are nowhere near the bottom. To be honest, I have mostly slept with my head actually that end, because obviously when you're coming in and out, if you're a bit wet from the rain, this end always gets a bit dirty and a bit wet, doesn't it? You can't help it. So you don't want your pillow and your head and everything on the slightly dirty end, or even sandy, to be fair. Yeah, the moisture's coming. It's not even, it rained earlier, the ground's wet that I've put this up on. The moisture's coming through the floor where I'm kneeling, out where my elbows are. It's literally coming straight through the floor now. This tent is not remotely waterproof anymore, bless it. But it's been the best tent ever. Pound for pound, I don't necessarily mean this exact model. You can get the Helvel and the new one, it's all the same thing. But like I said, in my opinion, obviously it's only just my opinion, for a one person to use, when you take everything into account, the weight, which is why I say pound for pound, also pound for pound as in money, because you buy these super light ones, you know, the MSR Hubba Bubba and stuff, you pay for that, whereas this, you get this for £100 odd. So pound for pound in the weight and your money and just every other way, the design. This is the #1 tent as far as I'm concerned for backpacking or bikepacking for a solo person or 2 small people. Thanks for viewing. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like this video. Leave your comments, leave your opinions. They're all welcome here. Have a good day, bald apes.